come to you in the name of Jesus, Lord. We just thank you for the opportunity to come together as a community. And Father, we come here to launch my wife's DJI Enterprises, Lord, and all her hard work. And thank you for all. I want to bless all the people, Lord, that have come and in support of that, Lord. So we just thank you for the opportunity to gather together. And we pray everyone would have an enjoyable evening. And certainly those who come to learn and those who come to see what DJI Enterprise is all about, we pray to be a seamless transaction between those who come with interest and any future endeavors for the business itself. And we just pray these things in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
So we're going to bring up our first speaker. That would be Christopher Cousins.
I'm just going to be doing the land acknowledgements. Bonjour tout le monde, je refais la reconnaissance de la terre. Alors que nous lançons aujourd'hui le DJJI Entreprise Learning Hub, nous reconnaissons, nous sommes réunis constituant les territoires traditionnels de plusieurs nations, notamment les Mississauga de Crédit, les Anishinaabe, les Chippewa, les Haudenosaunee et les Wendat, et qu'elles sont aujourd'hui le foyer de nombreuses communautés diversifiées des Premières Nations, Inuits et Métis. Nous reconnaissons également que Toronto est visé par le traité 13 avec les Mississauga de Crédit. En prenant un moment pour réfléchir à cette reconnaissance, nous souhaitons également exprimer notre gratitude pour le privilège de pouvoir nous rassembler dans un espace consacré à l'apprentissage, à la croissance et la communauté. Aujourd'hui représente bien plus qu'un lancement. C'est un rappel des possibilités que nous avons tous d'encourager et d'élever les autres. Nous sommes reconnaissants envers chaque personne présente dont la présence, les expériences et le soutien contribuent à bâtir un avenir plus fort et plus inclusif pour les générations à venir. So as we begin today's launch of DJJI Enterprises Learning Hub, we acknowledge that the land we are gathered on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credits. As we reflect on this acknowledgement, may we also take a moment to appreciate the privilege of gathering together in a space of learning, growth, and community. Today is more than a launch. It is a reminder of the importance of connection, shared purpose, and the opportunity we each have to uplift and empower one another. We are grateful for every individual in attendance whose presence, experiences, and support contribute to building a stronger and more inclusive future for generations to come. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, community leaders, educators, parents, students, family, especially my dear husband, Mark, my 4 sons, my dad, and my dear friends. Thank you so much for being here tonight to celebrate the official launch of DJJI Enterprises Learning Hub. Tonight is not just about launching a business, it is about launching possibilities. It is about creating direction, restoring confidence, and helping individuals make smarter educational, career, and financial decisions. What if one decision you make today could save you thousands of dollars? Years of frustration, emotional stress, and feelings of failure. Because for many students and families, that is exactly what is at stake when choosing a career path. Yet, every year, thousands of students are expected to make life-changing educational decisions without enough information, guidance, mentorship, or real-world exposure. And unfortunately, many realize too late that the path they chose was not aligned with their strengths, personality, goals, or purpose. The issue is personal for me, and I'll share that. As a mother of 4 sons, I witnessed firsthand the confusion and uncertainty many young people experience when trying to navigate college and university pathways. Some of my own sons struggled. They struggled very much with direction, and they became discouraged, and even dropped out of programs because they were unsure of what they were pursuing, whether they had chosen the right path. And as a parent, that experience was very heartbreaking. Not because they lacked intelligence or ability, but they lacked clarity. They also lacked exposure, mentorship, and guidance. And this was because they weren't able to make the major decisions that was necessary. So the reality is, many families are experiencing the same thing. We grew up hearing, go to school, get a degree, and everything will work out. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Today's world looks very different. We're now seeing rising tuition costs, increasing student debt, mental health challenges among students, graduates struggling to find work in their fields, and individuals feeling stuck in careers they do not enjoy. This is no longer just an education issue, it is a life direction issue. It affects confidence, it affects finances, it affects families, and it affects communities. And this is why DJJI Enterprises Learning Hub was created. Through the journey, which began in 2001, simply as Tutoring Services Hub, subsequently, DJJI Enterprises was birthed in 2019. And last year, December 7th, the Learning Hub was executed from both lived experience, thanks to my dear husband Mark, who encouraged me to expand, and also a research that I completed during my studies at Yorkville University. I conducted qualitative research on students' experiences after failed licensure exams, and through that research I discovered something very powerful, that many students did not fail because they lacked potential. They struggled because they lacked adequate resources, mentorship, preparation, emotional support, and proper guidance. Some students were carrying stress, fear, financial burdens, self-doubt, and pressure silently. What I learned through that research reinforced something I already believed deeply. When students are supported, equipped, and guided, their chances of success increase tremendously. I also had the opportunity to partner with a professor, Christine Cousins, at Sheridan College to support newcomers integrating into the Canadian workforce. Through mentorship, guidance, resume support, interview preparation, and encouragement, approximately 7 students under my care were able to successfully secure employment opportunities. That experience, thank you. That experience reminded me that sometimes people do not need more talent, they need access. Access to information, access to mentorship, access to opportunities, access to someone who just simply believes in them. And that is the heart behind DJI Enterprises Learning Hub. Our mission is simple: to help individuals explore, evaluate, and confidently pursue career pathways before investing significant time and money. We believe students should not have to discover too late that they are unhappy, overwhelmed, or misaligned with their chosen field. Instead of choosing a program first, hoping it works out later, we encourage individuals to explore careers first, understand the realities of the field, learn about the educational requirements, test the pathway, and make informed decisions. Because education is very expensive and it's getting worse, but uninformed decisions are even more costly. At DJI, we have developed a structured pathway to support decisions for students and families. Our career success framework includes, first, career testing. Then we help individuals identify their strengths, interests, personality traits, and compatible career pathways. Second, personalized feedback. We don't just hand over results, we walk alongside individuals to help interpret what those results mean for the future. And we're gonna hire some psychologists to make this very real. Core course exposure, which is necessary to help students introductory learning in fields they are considering before making long-term commitments. Because sometimes when they enter into a field, they realize that this is what they really don't like or what they really like. So testing the course is also part of the process. Expert guidance, which we are anticipating will connect students with professionals who provide real-life insight and lived experiences from their industries. And finally, career connection, because we don't just want to leave them stranded, we want to connect them to experts in the field. We want to bridge the gap between learning and the opportunity. This platform is designed for students searching for direction, parents trying to support their children, adult learners considering career changes, newcomers to Canada adapting to the Canadian workforce, any individual who may be struggling academically, emotionally, or financially. DJI is also a partner of Bonami Community Services, whose organization offers career programs for the Lincoln Alexander Boys Youth and Young Adult Jean Augustine Girls Youth and Young Adults under the Just Ask program, as well as the Aim High program. Our youths need guidance very early, and we believe career exploration should begin as soon as possible. So our intention is not to wait until they get to grade 11, but start at grade 9. That is why we are committed to making career guidance more accessible through, first, career testing, affordable learning opportunities, mentorship, workshops, community partnership, and practical educational support. But beyond careers and education, DJI is really about empowerment. It is about helping people to regain confidence, helping families avoid unnecessary debt, helping students feel seen, supported, and understood, helping communities grow stronger through informed decisions and choices, and also because when individuals succeed, communities also succeed, because it's a collective effort. Tonight I want to thank every person who has supported this vision, from family members, mentors, to educators, community leaders, students, volunteers, and supporters. Your encouragement, prayers, collaboration, and belief in this mission have helped bring this vision to life. And to every student or parent listening, please know this: It is okay to discover that one path may not be right for you. What matters most is making informed decisions with support, guidance, and confidence. So, I would like you to take the first step, explore, ask questions, discover your strength, take the career test, connect with mentors, and let us help you guide you from the confusion to clarity, from uncertainty to confidence, from potential to purpose. I leave you with this thought. The most important decision is not simply choosing a school. It is choosing a future aligned with who you truly are. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you for believing in Digi Enterprises. God bless you all.
Good evening. And it's just such a pleasure and a privilege to join you tonight and to be part of this tremendous launch. I think this is such an important area to support parents and kids, to really help young people find, what they're good at and what their heart's desire is. So I'm the CEO of Catholic Family Services Field Dufferin, and we're an organization that provides individual, couple, and family counseling and support to the entire community in Peel region at no to low costs. Sometimes I stop. I'm a social worker by background and a couple of family therapists who somehow landed in leadership. And there are times when I look at where I am today and I can hardly believe it. Because I'm this, kid from a working class family. And I was a kid in high school that nobody would have predicted that I would be successful in my life. Neither of my parents had more than a grade 11 education. My father went into the trades and became an electrician at a time when you didn't need to have a high school diploma to get into the trades. I was the first person in my family to go to university, and let me tell you, it was a really big deal. So I'm not just here today to speak to you as the CEO of this, multi-million-dollar, nonprofit organization, but I'm really here today to talk to you as a daughter, a mother, and now a grandmother. And when I think about career decisions and young people, I think first about what children need from the adults around them. And I know, for my parents, they didn't know all of the opportunities and possibilities that were out there. When I was in high school, so this will be a fairly personal talk. I was asked to, just kind of do that. So that's what I'm going to do. So when I was in high school, I was struggling with a really serious illness. I was very, very sick. And knowing what I know now, I had an undiagnosed learning disability as well. Because back then, no one was testing anybody for anything. This would have been in the 1970s, so you can do the math and just find out how old I am. And at that time, the guidance department at the high school did a bunch of testing, and they told me and my parents that I had below average intelligence. And they wanted to stream me into this basic classroom level in high school. That school did not predict my success. And I know for many families, especially families that in our community that are racialized, you know exactly what it feels like when systems underestimate your children. And I'm so grateful to my mother because she did not underestimate me. And the power of a parent's love and the power of a parent's belief in their child and children is more powerful than anything a school can ever say. Now my mom, who's just 22 years older than I am, was a rather meek, quiet woman. And when that guidance counselor told her how I should be registered, all she said was, no, no. Because she knew I could do it, and she knew that there was something in me that needed opportunity. So I'm very grateful to her for her belief in me. You know, sometimes teachers can be very discouraging because they make assumptions based on a very small slice of information. And that's where I think organizations like this and the power of the community really needs to come through for our kids to believe that they can do things. The other thing that really helped me was, unfortunately, because I was sick, very ill, I ended up at the Crippled Children's Center in Toronto. So imagine this kid from the farm in Windsor, Ontario, parents going to the big city to get their daughter all tested. When I was there, I met a social worker. And they did a whole battery of tests, proper tests. And they said to me and my parents, you need to be thinking about going to university. And had you thought about maybe becoming a social worker? Well, being from the farm, nobody had ever heard of a social worker. We didn't know anything about social work. In fact, what I wanted to do was become an arborist or a librarian. But given how sick I was, and they had anticipated that I may end up in a wheelchair, they thought, well, that's really not going to be something that you can do. So I had to figure out there's my interests, but then there's my abilities. And getting that exposure to a whole field that I didn't even know existed. And so they introduced me to a social worker who did her work from a wheelchair. And it gave me this vision that perhaps I could have this life where I could make a difference in the world, that I could help people, and even if I was physically disabled, I would still have a career ahead of me. Exposure matters. Having that opportunity to see what's possible is so important, and I really applaud the work that you're doing, providing a space for families and kids to come, to have the world opened up to see what's possible. Exposure matters. And I think learning and understanding what your talents are as a young person is really important. Now, my dad, on the other hand, he struggled a bit because, you know, he got afraid. And he wanted me to be tough and strong because he knew that if I wasn't tough and if I wasn't strong, how was I going to fare in the world? And, you know, that was hard, kind of having some of those conversations with him as a young person. And I think that that's, you know, the other thing to pay attention to as well as parents is to pay attention to our fear. You know, I was a family therapist for many years, and I would work with kids and their parents, especially where there was a lot of conflict in the relationship between the parents and the kids. And what I learned in all that time was that the heart of a lot of that conflict is always fear. Often the parent's fear. That parent who just wants that child to be safe, just wants that child to be able to make their way in the world. And I think sometimes parents can push their kids in directions thinking that if they go in that direction, they'll be safe and they'll be fine. But what we know is that, you know, fear is not the best compass for life decisions. And I think kids get afraid too, right? Especially in this economy. I gotta become a doctor, I gotta become a lawyer, I gotta do something that makes me a lot of money in order to survive. And I think that sometimes that leads to that university degree that doesn't fit, you know, or it's like putting on a pair of shoes that are too small, or too big. So children need guidance, and I don't have to tell any of you parents in this room that. And I think they also need room to become themselves. I had the privilege of teaching at the University of Guelph for 14 years before coming into this current role. And I remember one time there was a young man who came to me, first semester course I was teaching, and he said to me, "I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm here." And I said, "Well, why are you here?" "Because this is what I'm supposed to do. That's the path the high school set before him, going to university." So I said to him, "What would you rather be doing? What do you think you'd like to do?" He said, "What I really want to do is work with my uncle on boats. He has a business, and he is a mechanic and works on boats and stores boats." So I said, "University's not going anywhere. It's still going to be here in a year. Go work with your uncle. Learn about boats. And then at the end of that, if you think you want to come back, then you come back. You can just take a leave of absence. Go and learn about boats." I don't know what happened to that young man, but I do know he dropped the course. And I thought that was a good thing, because the only reason to be in university, to be in university or college, just because it's the next so-called developmental step, is not a good reason to be in university or college. And some kids need longer to figure out what they want and who they are. And you're right, too many young people spend thousands of dollars trying to figure out who they are, when there's other ways of figuring out who you are. I think that, we need to know who we are. That is the compass for them where we need to go. What energizes you? What energizes our kids? What kinds of environments suit them? What problems do they care about? What kind of life do they want to build? So, I don't know. And I don't know if there's any research on this. It just occurred to me tonight, actually, in preparing this talk, that I think that if we look at our little ones, they are already telling us who they are and what they want to be. So I have 2 daughters. My oldest daughter is going to be 33 years old. And when she was 5, I was watching Riverdance on television. And she was riveted to this TV. And she said to me after the show, "Mom, I want to learn how to do that." The next day, there just so happened to be a flyer in my mailbox for dance classes. And she took her first Irish dance class. And from there, she learned tap and ballet. And now she is a dance teacher, choreographer, judge, and her life is dance. She knew from the time she was 5 years old. And I tried my best to stay out of her way, sometimes not successfully. I have another daughter, Kathleen. And when she was 5 years old, I was in the middle of chemotherapy for cancer at the time. And she made this pronouncement that when she grew up, she was going to become a doctor. And I didn't pay very much attention to that. And now here we are. She's going to be 30 next week. She is in nursing school, becoming a nurse. She always wanted to be involved in something related to medicine. I remember her taking her favorite stuffed animal and performing her first surgery. Cutting it open, very clean incision, getting out. So I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't become a surgical nurse with that. But it was all there. Now, the difficulty in Kathleen's story, and I'm going to have true confessions here, is that she had a significant learning disability, and we were told that sciences were going to be very difficult for her. So we didn't fight with the school, and she didn't take any science courses. In fact, she went off to university and did a 4-year degree in history, and philosophy, left her first degree, worked in a medical clinic for a year as a receptionist, and the nurses said to her, you know, you'd be a really good nurse. So she spent 1 year doing a college preparation course, picking up every science course she needed to apply to nursing school. And I have to tell you that I feel like I failed her, because it was there all along, and I believed the system when I said she couldn't be successful in those courses. So she and I had some conversations about that, because as parents, I listened to the system, and I like, how did I do that? My mother didn't listen to the system for me, and yet I listened for her. Now, you know, as Kathleen said to me, I don't think I was ready then, Mom. But I gotta tell you, that first degree was expensive. And maybe necessary, maybe not necessary. Life has a way of unfolding the way it is. So, you know, I think sometimes we need to fight hard for our kids, and then sometimes we just also have to forgive ourselves as parents and trust the greater unfolding of people's lives. So, I don't know, just in closing, for many families, education represents security, dignity, opportunity, and survival in the face of lots of systemic barriers, especially in today's economy where we're all concerned about the future. But children borrow their confidence from we adults, and the more we believe in them, trust in them, listen to them, and pay attention even from the time they're little, they're going to tell us who they are to become. It's like the oak tree. It's all in there. It's all in there. So I know my parents believed in me before I fully believed in myself. And that made all the difference in my life. And I like to think that it has also made a difference in my children's lives. Thank you.
Bonami Community Services is honored to partner with Michelle, the founder of DJJI Enterprises, who has a heart of gold, which has fueled our Aim High Just Ask initiative by providing career guidance, mentorship, and education support programs for youth and young adults. Unfortunately, Councilor Rowena was unable to attend tonight to this launch. However, Councilor Rowena, she sent a letter and her regards, and I'll be reading it on her behalf. And I'm going to say that's an honor as well. Dear Michelle Hamilton Cubitt, on behalf of the City of Brampton and Ward 1 and 5, it's with great pride and heartfelt admiration that I extend my warmest congratulations to DJJI Enterprises in partnership with Bonami Community Services on the official launch of the DJJI Enterprise Learning Hub on May the 16th. Can we just give them a round of applause? This remarkable achievement is more than just the opening of a new initiative. It's a powerful investment in people, opportunities, and the future of our community. We celebrate your organization on the launch of this impactful program, which will empower students, particularly at risk and marginalized youth, with career clarity for from grade 9 through to career placement. This initiative will help reduce education barriers for families while guiding young people toward meaningful and successful futures. As a community leader, I understand how important it is to create spaces and programs that uplift people and open doors to new possibilities. The launch of DJJI Enterprise Learning Hub reflects the vision, compassion, and dedication that Bonami Community Services continues to demonstrate through its work. The DJJI Enterprise Learning Hub will undoubtedly create meaningful change, inspire growth, and positive impact countless lives for years to come. please accept my sincere congratulations on this incredible milestone. I wish DJJI Enterprises Learning Hub continued success and every blessing as you begin this exciting chapter, thereby strengthening our community through your outstanding leadership and services. Sincerely, Rowena Santos. Thank you.
You know, long before DJJI Enterprises Learning Hub became a reality, it all started with Michelle Hamilton Cubitt's passion for helping students succeed. Since 2001, Michelle has dedicated herself to supporting students from senior kindergarten all the way to university in math, reading, writing, mentorship, and academic growth. Over the years, she realized that so many students weren't lacking intelligence or potential, but really just needed guidance, confidence, mentorship, and access to the right resources. Her passion for education, along with her experience in adult education, research, accounting, and community mentorship, laid the foundation for DJJI Enterprises Learning Hub. One of those students was Bria, who met Michelle in senior kindergarten. Even though Bria was reading from memory, Michelle introduced her to a phonemic approach to reading. And today, Bria is like an avid reader. This story represents more than just education. It reflects purpose, perseverance, community, and, you know, the belief that every student has the potential to succeed with the right support and guidance. Purpose, perseverance, community.
Michelle had me break down hard words, and I think that's going to be really helpful when I'm like a veterinarian for my future. And I think I'm going to have to read lots of stuff for veterinary, like medicine, we're going to get some pets and things like that. And Michelle had me feel confident in lots of type of ways. Now I can read comic books, picture books, and storybooks. And I can even read the Bible notes. I'm still learning, but I think I got a hang of it.
Meet Jaden. After 5 years of reading support with Michelle Hamilton Cubitt, Jaden now excels in leadership at school, helping classmates, leading peers, and demonstrating how confidence and guidance can shape a student's future.
Hi, my name is Jaden, and I am currently 13 years old. Michelle was my tutor from around grade 2 to grade 4. She was amazing in helping me with my English. I struggled with reading because I relied more on memorization rather than phonics to sound out my words. At the time, I was reading below the average grade level at my age. Michelle was able to help bring my reading and writing skills to where they needed to be, and even above grade level. She was patient, kind, and understanding throughout the entire process. Her lessons, homeworks, helped build my confidence, which made a huge difference for me both academically and personally. I am very grateful for Michelle and all of the help and support she gave me.
Hello, my name is Gianna. I am in grade 11, 16 years old, and I'm in high school. To be honest, from the very beginning, I felt kind of nervous because I was unsure of what career path I wanted to take. I was very confused, not sure of what I wanted to do. But now I have a more secure path in which I want to take in the future. DJJI Enterprises helped me a lot learning throughout what I wanted to do because I'm more of a analytical thinker. I tend to think more deeper into things I want to do. So this one helped me more assess myself into what career path I wanted to take. So DJJI Enterprises helped me work through an assessment that had about 100 questions along the way. It helped me clearly understand more about myself, how I think, how I reason, and everything else in that context as well. Michelle helped me a lot through asking me questions as well along the way. She helped me understand through what I wanted to do, and she analyzed it throughout the end. I was very unsure. I wanted to take the career pathway of law or somewhere in that realm, like political science. But then I started to think through this assessment. I'm like, maybe this isn't the right career pathway for me. Maybe it doesn't have the plan in the future for me. So I chose through the assessment, not just chose, but I understood myself further through this assessment that I took. It was very deep for me to understand these types of things because I was very nervous and anxious before as a grade 11 student, soon going into grade 12. But now I want to take somewhere in the realm of psychology or psychotherapy. And I have a very like mind and very strong mind into thinking and feeling the emotions of others. So I would love to help people along the way in this career path. Yes, I greatly recommend DJI Enterprises as they have helped me learn myself, not just think about and then leave at the last minute and not think about it again. I continually think about my career pathway now, and I'm assured of what I want to do because DJI Enterprises helped me understand who I want to become in the future and what things will very interest me that I would love to do.
A bit of a slide presentation for you, but I think I'm going to just walk you through it quickly and just be very brief with my words, somewhat in support of what Michelle is doing through DJJI Enterprise, but also piggybacking on my experience in the educational system. So here's some background. 1 in 5 Canadian youth experience mental health challenge. So when you think about that, think about what it means to a student going through our educational system. In fact, most universities and colleges now have a medical unit or a counseling unit associated with their colleges for students. They said, I think it's like 60% of those applying to post-secondary education are indicating that they have a mental health issue. Some of the challenges, of course, students facing psychological, behavioral, social, environmental barriers. Often students experience academic pressure, just feeling that they can't fit in, the transition to school, and early signals of disengagement and absenteeism. And when I talk about this, the educational system that we have now is about 100 years old, and it was geared post-industrialization for creating workers to go into manufacturing and so on. It hasn't changed, it has not adapted. If you look at the European model, certainly the Scandinavian countries, it's all about integrated learning, where students sit around a table and they're integrating work-life experiences with learning at the same time, and that's where you see most success. So here in Canada, we are somewhat behind when it comes to the changes. So when we think about the kinds of work that Michelle's going to be doing moving forward, it really is about creating opportunities for young people to see themselves as part of what we call now the creative class. The jobs that we have that are present won't be around another 10 years. They simply won't be. You're hearing it with AI. One of the signals for young people is to think about what this government is putting their money in and investing. What we know Mark Carney is doing right now is putting his money in oil, gas, and logistics. So if you're interested, and if you have young people who are interested, they need to be thinking about that. We know that the big tech companies, they're laying off. So when IT was in its hiatus, when it was in its heights about 5-10 years ago, that's not happening anymore. So we need to think differently about education. Early support, examples, counseling, behavioral support, keep going please. Mentorship. And I want to focus on this one here, a single trusted adult. Those who work in education as I know the same. It only takes one adult with the unconditional positive regard that really allows a student to succeed. All you need is one student. Mine was my teacher in England, Mrs. Briggs. She opened up a gymnastic clubs after school, collected us all together, a riff-raff of kids, and got us all doing gymnastics. but we all became really engaged in education. It didn't take 2 or 3 teachers, it took 1 teacher. Fortunately, we don't have that nowadays. Structured guidance. And I would say that while Michelle's initiated this for grade 9 and beyond, really the evolution here needs to happen from grade 6. Grade 6 is when we really need to begin to introduce kids to work or work experiences, work exposure. And you know, we only have, take the kids to work when you're in grade 9. And that's 1 day in all of their schooling. Now just think about that. What kind of exposure is that? You get it in grade 9. What would happen if they got that in grade 6 and grade 7 and grade 8? What kind of encouragement might that lead to students becoming really engaged in education? So the system we have has really got to change. Strategies, keep going, keep potential students, yeah. So the positive unconditional regard is in every student. Early intervention, mentorships, creates opportunities. School can be the place, but school is not for every student. But it doesn't mean that every student cannot learn. Everyone can learn, but school is not for everyone. So what does it mean? It means that we need to think differently, and as parents and as caregivers, we need to think if school is not really hitting the mark with the young person, what else is there? And if it is like the first speaker talked about, the student said, look, I want to work on boats, that may be the case, because the reality is they're going to change their careers at least 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Long gone are the days where you get a job, you're in it for 30 years, you get a pension, you retire. Those days are gone. But we're not having these conversations. So, Michelle, that's one of the conversations we need to have with students is they're in this unique space called a creative class, where they're going to have to create their minds, their brains, their hands for themselves, unlike 30, 40 years ago. The last thing that I'm going to say is this. Don't be so Canadian, Ontario, Toronto-centric about working experience. Don't. I think we need to turn it upside down. Students can get visas to go and work in other countries. In fact, there are like 53, 54 Commonwealth countries. If you're a citizen, you can get a visa to go work in those countries. You can get a visa to go to school in those countries and get an education, or at least get an experience. My godchild, she came back from a scholarship in Florida, worked for Toronto General for a bit, they laid her off, and then she said, well, I'm going to go to Korea and teach. I think the visa was like $1,000. Apply, and you don't even need a teacher's college degree to teach them. Valuable work experience, because that's what we want to do, is provide them as much exposure to work that they will eventually find themselves. And last but not least is this, the child that you see today is not the child that they're going to be tomorrow. It's not the adult that they're going to be tomorrow. We have to remember that. Despite what teachers say and schools say, the student you see today is not going to be the adult tomorrow. They'll find their ways, their way. But what we need to do is equip them and help build their confidence through some of the services Michelle's going to be offering that tells them that there's more, and that work and learning is more important than anything else, and you don't have to find it here in Toronto. You can get it anywhere. Just be willing to take the chances and the risk, especially when the tools are there, like a visa. I worked at Goodwill as vice president for many years, and we had students from Western and wherever else. They're coming through, and they're spending about a year, and then they're going to work in South Africa. They're going to work in England, going to work in Australia. They're going to school over there as well. And here, we don't talk about that enough. So I think those are the kinds of, that's the kind of asset I think, Michelle, you can add when you're talking to these kids, is that, look, have you thought broadly about going to study elsewhere or go to work elsewhere and coming back? Hopefully by then you'll find your way moving forward. So those are the comments I just wanted to speak about tonight. Hopefully it's been useful to you. feels calm, and my heart burdens deep. Yet I am still here waiting here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I can be. Oh, yes. Yeah. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I could be. Yes. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I can be. Yes, you raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. Raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be. Oh, yeah.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. I'm Michelle, the president of DJJI Enterprises Learning Hub, and today I'm joined with Marsha Forbes, principal of Folkestone Public School, and it's the elementary school, correct?
Yes. It's a
Yes,
pleasure
and
to-
what's the grade?
K to 5.
K to 5. Thank you
Yes.
so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to meet with you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, Marsha had promised to share her story based on her journey. And as you know, we're trying to advocate for students to test their courses, test their personalities before they actually get into a program and get lost in the mix. So basically, Marsha, she had some experiences because she wasn't privy to this kind of availability and process.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that it is necessary for people to have a good idea of what they really want to do before they get into it. So I'll be asking Marsha some questions and you will be hearing her response to them. So Marsha, let's take a look back And I know it's been a while.
Way back.
So we're going to talk about your journey, and I want you to reflect on what you've been through, and can you share your experience with exploring different career pathways before entering in the field of education where you are right now?
So I think for myself, like with many young people, especially if they grow up and they show any type of promise, then their parents may have said a lot of what they hope, and then their hopes sort of become your hopes. So I think as early as age 10, my parents would always tell me, oh, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a lawyer. I was a very good arguer. And oftentimes, you don't want to lose a battle with a 10-year-old, but that's how a lot of arguments ended with my parents. Just hurry up and become a lawyer.
Wow.
So that's what I always knew. I was a good speaker, good with words, but I didn't do well. It didn't translate into school. And as we know, often, even like back, we're doing a lot more to support Black kids. But back then, a lot of us were tracked. So we were told we're to be in the academic, to be in the general rather than advanced and so forth. So I had some of that K to 8 journey where I would look like a C student, C plus. But my parents always knew I was very bright. I got some A's and B's, but like I wasn't doing it like I did in high school and university. High school and university, you're more showing your critical thinking and the higher order skills.
Right.
And then I soared. And I did really much better in high school and university. So that just reinforced their belief that this young lady is going to become a lawyer, And I had my LSATs. We had OAC, so we went up to grade 12 and then OAC. You guys get to finish at grade 12.
Right.
So by grade 12, I even had my LSAT books looking at those kinds of things. And then at York, and I ended up at York because my dad told me our university form has 3 choices: York, U of T, and Ryerson. So basically, they were saying stay local.
Right.
So anyway, at
Can't
York,
go anywhere far.
yes. So at York, I don't know if they still have it, but you go for an advising appointment in your first year, and I entered with women's studies or law and society because I knew I liked human rights. I knew I liked things around equity. And what kind of law was just basically what I wanted to land on, what I would study. But I'm going to be a lawyer.
Right.
And then without realizing it, a lot of my experience was with kids. I worked at sports camps. I worked in church and Sunday school. Everything was kids, kids, kids. And I'm thinking, it's just because I like kids. I wasn't on a trajectory to be a teacher. I didn't even know it was competitive,
Wow.
But it is highly competitive. So in the advising, they said that we have concurrent ed, and if you want to have something to fall back on, why not do concurrent education? Because you'll have your Bachelor of Arts and your Bachelor of Education, plus law school, you have good grades, you'd probably be a good fit. So I said, oh, what's this concurrent ed thing? And I just applied on a whim. And then I realized, and I appreciate it so much more now, but I realized, okay, this teaching thing is, a lot of people want to do this, and this is a big deal and whatnot. For me, it was initially something to fall back on. And then when you're in university, it's not easy. And a lot of people, and I think females even more than males, they have a lot of ups and downs, socially, emotionally, all kinds of stuff. And something happened to me in terms of my feeling like I'm good enough.
So you didn't feel
and so
that way?
I just started to think, people like me, so they give me good grades.
Oh, wow.
My brain started to, you know what I mean? And so I started to believe these messages in my head, and then I didn't want to teach. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do these kinds of things, right? And so for me, my journey was long. I finished the degree to make my parents happy.
But you were
and I said, I don't want any part of it.
Wow.
And the God in me, I was like, I don't even know if I want law school. You need to tell me what my next steps are. Some people say I should be doing social work because I do all this community stuff. And some people are saying I should be a lawyer. And I don't know what I want. And I was confused. Wow. And it was because there was all these voices like, older people at church would see things in me and tell me I should do this, and your parents are telling you should do that. And you talking about how you need to find yourself, that's what's most important.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, young people have a lot of other people telling them
But they don't even know
what they
who
should
are.
do. And you're listening to the voices of other people thinking, well, they must know better than me,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So after Teachers College, I did community work. I had a great job working on starting one of the first mobile centers that actually existed in the GTA. Besides the health bus came the mobilizer, Youth Information Center, and I did that for a couple of years, and our jobs ended abruptly. And so I did go into teaching. And then the night before, I didn't want to go to the interview. I don't know, those thoughts in my head again. God has a plan. And the person interviewing me, now principal, was my kindergarten teacher.
Wow. Interesting.
So I felt calm and relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I ended up having my first place that they said I have to work at is my old middle school.
Okay.
And then the older ladies were so nice, and they were like, "You're a good teacher. You should have your own classroom. Stop this supply teaching." And the principal said, "You tell me where you apply, and I'm gonna get you right in there, right?" But I didn't have to. The principal doing the hiring hired me right away, and it was a great experience. The principal that hired me was so kind to me, almost treated me like I was her daughter in my first school that I taught at, and it was a great experience. But also having my community background and seeing so many needs and saying, "Oh, I'd like to bring in this program," or "I'd like to do this." There was a lot of red tape. And there was a lot of no's, not because my principal didn't want to make it happen, just that she couldn't,
Okay.
And with those barriers, I said, the person who I was very whimsical. So I said, I'm going to quit teaching. I'm going to go into a post-grad program at Humber, which was in fundraising and events planning.
Wow. So that's the abbreviation, basically.
And I'm going to start my own philanthropic organization so we
Wow.
can bring funds into education to meet these kids' needs. Yeah,
But you were still thinking of education, basically,
Yeah.
but it was just a diversion.
Helping the young people in a different way. So I was always working with youth. Even when I wasn't teaching, I was working with youth on the mobilizer. And even, like I said, from the advising program, I was always working with children, working at sports camps, working in church. So I've never not worked with kids. I've always loved kids. So it's always been somewhere there, So I did it. And again, another whim happened. That summer, before I was supposed to do the program, I went to a camp in Korea. And it was just a summer camp to teach English, but I loved it. And I said, "Oh, wow, this is amazing. I feel so close to God. I want to come back." I gave my parents a heart attack. Come back to teach English. So I actually audited the course at Humber, decided I am going to go to Korea. So I let my parents know.
They weren't too happy, I'm sure.
That I'm moving to Korea to teach English for 1 year. So the child that they thought was going to go to law school and had the LSAT book since grade 12 was on this roller coaster ride. So I did that. I came back home. I went to England to sort of figure out what I want to do, but I ended up, supply teaching for those years. And I couldn't get away from teaching because you have to pay the bills, and it was easy. And eventually I decided, okay, I'm going to come back to Canada. So after 4 years abroad, 1 year in Korea and 3 years in England, I came back here. Shortly after coming, same principal that hired me years ago, when I came back and interviewed for a job, she was like, "Oh, Marsha's back in Canada?" So we have an LTO that's even longer, which was for the rest of the school year. So she said, "Can we have her?" So she snagged me off of a reference check. And I ended up at Lougheed. And I ended up at that school teaching for 8 years. And just growing in this career and embracing that this is where I'm supposed to be. And then was a resource teacher into teacher librarian and guidance counselor into ISSP, and then eventually becoming
A
vice
principal.
principal.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So where were you a vice principal?
I was a vice principal at several schools, one in Mississauga and 2 in Brampton.
Okay.
And then I became a principal
At Folkestone.
at another school in Brampton and then here.
Oh, wow. So that's quite a journey. I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds like a roller coaster, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
um,
Yes, it was
I'm
a
sure
long
you-
answer, but it's
but
the journey.
That's a long journey.
It's
yeah.
it was the journey.
And,
yeah,
you
it
know,
wasn't a straight line.
Sometimes this is what happens when you're not sure and
Mhm.
when you have to go through different pathways
Yeah.
to figure it out. And so this is something that we're trying to avoid, to get people to kind of zero in on, you know, the things that they are interested in so that they can have an idea of what pathway. And interestingly, as you said, you were interested in kids.
Yeah.
And it would appear that you knew that, but you just didn't know which pathway was going to
Yeah.
take you there.
Yeah.
So this is why it is so important to have an idea of, you know, who you are and what things you love, what you're passionate about,
Mhm.
and so that you can kind of, you know, get into that area where that career will fit rightly with you.
For sure.
One of the things we are doing with DJI Enterprises as well is not just to do the test, which is the aptitude test, and then test the courses that we have available, use those to kind of guide them along, but also after they have done that to kind of map them into a career path that is sustainable. Because just having an interest in something is not
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
And even with the result of the aptitude test, that's not enough to just kind of figure out what pathway you can get into, but proper guidance is so important.
Mhm.
So, how important do you believe structured guidance and career assessment tools are for students today, which is kind of what we were talking about?
I think structured guidance is important. They have things like career cruising that guidance counselors use that can help them in springboarding into that. They have aptitude tests, personality things like Myers-Briggs and stuff does tell you things about yourself. And then you can say, oh, okay, I didn't know that my personality type is suited to this, this, and this, right? And those things are helpful.
And I think in addition to that, it's one thing to say that these are the areas that you will fit, but is anyone actually saying these are the careers that will fit into that? Like sometimes, you know, we are hearing, okay, this is your personality, this is the result, but nobody's really in a position to hold your hand and take you through. And quite frankly, I do understand that the guidance counselors are there to help, but to what extent are they able to help? I mean, especially a school of how many students? Every single student is not able to have that guidance, because you need someone who is able to guide them one-on-one.
Yes.
So this is where DJI Enterprises come in.
Good.
So based on your experience, how would you recommend or endorse DJI Enterprises Learning Hub to students seeking clarity and direction in choosing an ideal career pathway?
So like you were saying with DJI Enterprises and what happens in school, when you're grade 7 or 8, you do career cruising and it matches your personality type to some career things. But it's like just a springboard. And then you pick your courses in high school and so forth, and you don't really truly revisit that again. So you get the palate wet, basically, on going to someplace like going to use DJI Enterprises in an institution like this. You get to more go take a deep dive and make some solid choices based on what you might have had a little springboard. So your child may say, oh yeah, we did that at school. We learned our personality type and it told me that I'm X, Y, or Z. It really is just wetting the palate. I've taken over my journey doing my degree in education or doing my master's. There's been times in those things where they've made us do that, or even a leadership stuff from being an administrator. And you learn a lot from doing like Illumina or True Colors or Myers-Briggs, that you are like, oh, this is really interesting to unpack myself this way.
Correct.
And so there's a lot of value in that process.
Absolutely. And so you've heard it today. You've heard Marsha's story, and you also heard, you know, what it is like when you have not a true understanding of what you really want to do in your career pathway, and you've also heard the tools that are available as well as the guidance that DJI Enterprises is offering. So I hope that you have learned a lot that will take you through, and I hope you will understand the value of being part of DJI Enterprises. And thank you so much for joining me today, Marcia, and thank you for taking your time away from your busy schedule. We're actually sitting in our office, so she hasn't been home yet.
Yes, well, thank you for the work you do. The things that DJI Enterprises can do for young people is important.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Thank you.
I want to firstly congratulate Michelle and the DJJI Enterprise. I think it's an awesome move considering what's happening in the educational field. We talk a lot about personality, and one should understand one's personality before deciding on a career path. Now, we're not born with personality. We're born with traits. And the environment in which we were cast as a child shapes our trait into personality, which will stay with us for the rest of our life and change little over the years that we will live. The choices we make, the decisions that we arrive at, have a lot to do with the type of personalities that we have. Making a decision for a career requires that a person understands something about their personality, that a person understands something about their interests, and what they're motivated for. Without motivation, we cannot access some of the abilities and potential that we possess. I have taught for over 35 years in the post-secondary education field. I have watched students come to class motivated, excited, just to realize as they begin to realize the challenges and difficulty of the programs that they're in, many drop out because they were not informed regarding the difficulties that lies in the program that they have selected. Not all programs are career as the same difficulty or challenge. Another problem that I see in the post-secondary, a lot of students sign up for an undergraduate degree, not realizing that some of the degrees, undergraduate degree, requires further study towards a graduate degree for them to land a good career. So they stop at the bachelor degree, not realizing that that will not allow them to pursue the career that they want to pursue, simply because they did not get the appropriate advice or counsel that they need. So why is career decision matter? Why does it matter? Because career choices influence lifestyle, income, and personal fulfillment. Decision can affect long-term goals and opportunities. Choosing wisely reduce frustration and career dissatisfaction. Career path can change over time, but early planning is important. So here's a key thought for this. A good career decision combines passion, ability, values, and opportunity. Some people recognize what career they want from they were young. They have an interest that doesn't change over time, and they stay with that career. They're happy to wake up in the morning to go to their career. Others become frustrated. They change career over time, several times, because they realize that they have chosen the wrong path. It does no longer interest them. So here's some things that one needs to know first. Ask yourself these questions. What are my strengths and my weaknesses? Oftentimes I ask students, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you know yourself? And many of us who have pursued careers in the past and still are pursuing career have no idea of our strength or even who we are as individuals. We do not know our potential because nobody sat us down and advised us about our strengths. What subjects or activities do I enjoy? These are fundamental questions. What motivates me? If something does not motivate you, you will not unlock many of the potential that we possess. What values are important to me? Money, helping others, creativity, stability, leadership, etc. These are questions that when a person begins to pursue a career, they need to answer for themselves. Here are some different personalities that often fit different careers. Creative people. People who have creative personality are best suited for arts, design, and media. Those are careers that are flexible and allow you to be creative. Analytical people, science, engineer, technology. Social people, teaching, counseling, healthcare. Well, not all people who are very social go into teaching because you don't get to meet people on a level that sometimes you want to. Organized people, administration, management. And here are the key thoughts. A career should fit both your abilities and your personalities. And that's why a student should know a little bit about their personality and their abilities. And there are tests that I think Michelle and her enterprise will be conducting to help students understand a little bit more about what type of personality they possess. Here are some research career options. Learn what the job actually involves. There are students that go into a career, they start a job just to realize that they don't like it. They don't like working in an office environment. It doesn't allow them to interact with people. There are those who enter into some business and realize that they can't work with difficult people. And so learn about the job before you become involved. Understand the working condition. There are people who cannot work under certain conditions. And they go into a career without understanding the working condition that career provides. Explore educational requirement. Some career requires more mathematics or science, and some people don't. I remember when I went to college, I did not have the background, the mathematics background that was required for the program that I enrolled in. And the first semester, I was struggling with the mathematics and calculus because I have never done calculus. I didn't have the prerequisite for it. So now I was struggling. I had two options. Quit. Well, that was the only option that I could foresee at that time. I couldn't go forward and I couldn't go backward. What I had to do was teach myself calculus and higher mathematics within one semester. I didn't know what was required for the program and that I didn't have the prerequisite. So now the possibility of dropping the program was very strong. Could I teach myself calculus within one semester? I didn't know I could. And so I did, actually, taught myself calculus in one semester, and by the second semester, I was on the dean's list. So understanding what is required for a program is very important, because a lot of students enter a program not realizing that it requires certain prerequisites. And now you're in the program, you love the program, you're motivated, but you don't have the prerequisites. And you don't have the time to acquire the prerequisite. And so many students drop the program. Some students drop the program when they fail the first test. I've had students, they're very motivated, come to class. The first test, they fail. You don't see them again. They was not prepared for the challenge of the program. And so understanding, research the option, how many years of study are needed to complete this career. Some students are not aware. Research salary expectation. Every career comes with a different category of salary. So if your goal is to make lots of money, you have to choose a career that provides that opportunity. Learn about job demands and growth opportunities. There are some careers that will not last the next 5 years. They will no longer be around. Here are some things to think about the future. And I think what Michelle is doing will help students understand this. Technology and society continue to change careers. Will this career still be needed in the next 5 years? I remember when I was younger, and the student go to school to learn to type. After a few years, nobody's gonna hire you to type. The career disappeared. Is the field growing or declining? One must understand if the field that you are pursuing, is it growing or declining? What new skills may become important for this career? I have listed some careers that are growing. Here are some career paths, some field. Healthcare, physicians, psychologists, nurse, mental health workers, science and technology, skilled trades, electricians, HVAC, plumber, carpentry. Most of the trades will be around for the next 10 years. Artificial intelligence, AI, that's a booming field right now. Software developer, another booming field, which will be around for the next 10 years. Cybersecurity, a big growing field right now. Business, finance, project manager, consultant, entrepreneur. This is a growing field, entrepreneurs. Now, and there are actually programs at college level that teach you how to become a good entrepreneur. Accountants, financial specialists, science researchers, teachers, professors, special education specialists, social work, another growing field. Logistics and supply chain. These are some of the fields that are growing and will be around for the next how much years. Here are some things that student needs to avoid. Choosing only for money. There are many students who enter college and university only for money. No motivation for anything else. No interest. Choosing only because others expect you to choose that career. Many people come to college and they choose a career because it looks good on television. They choose it because their parents are in that field. They choose it because the parents choose it for them and will pay for the tuition for them. Avoid following trends without research. Always research the career that you're pursuing. Do not follow trend. Rushing into decisions following peer pressure. These are some things to avoid. There are many careers out there, and career will be here for many years. When I was a child, the only thing I loved to do was to read. And I always wanted to be a teacher. That has never changed in my life. And today when I wake up in the morning, it's no problem getting up to go to work to teach because I've always loved it and I don't think I'll ever change it. And everything I've gone into, I want to teach it. Simply because it matches with who I am. It matches with my trait. I love to share information from ever since I was a child. Sometimes you look at your children and you can see, because remember, we are not born with personality, we are born with trait. And those traits begin to express themselves into children. You can see what they gravitate towards. And if you observe those things that the little kids gravitate toward, you can shape them and guide them into a career that they will love and have interest in. But sometimes we forget what we love as children and we pursue the trend which our friends are pursuing, what our parents want us to pursue, and because we don't have the love for it. And so I believe that, Michelle, your enterprise is going to serve an awesome purpose, because many students go to post-secondary with no idea of what they're getting into, only to realize that a year or two into the program, they have no interest, they have no motivation, because they were not informed. And most time, what they have at the post-secondary level in terms of advisors, many students do not get good advice. And so I believe we need something else to come between the students and the career path to help them. And so I believe this is different, this is good, this is awesome, and I believe that you're doing what is necessary at this time. And many students, we're going to thank you, as they have already begun to do. So I want to congratulate you again on this venture that you have begun. And I pray that you won't be discouraged, because like any other career, there are challenges and there are difficulties ahead, but you have to persevere and you will be successful. And may God bless you and may you continue.
Good evening, friends. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate Michelle and wish her all the best on the launch of DJ Enterprise. When you're driven by passion and self-commitment and your vision is clear, it just continues to pave its path and strive to greater heights. As parents, our biggest assets are our kids, and we do whatever and the best we can do to be able to give them a better and brighter future. For a majority of us who are immigrants, we had our own challenges when we first moved to Canada by starting a new life from scratch. So for most of us, it also meant giving up some of our dreams, or at least putting them aside till we were able to become a part of the Canadian society. The benefits and choices we have here are some that were unheard of back home, and we are very lucky and proud to be here. Not all, but majority of us want our kids to become doctors, lawyers, engineers, but that's not right. It's not right to pressurize them towards something they're not keen in. They may do it to please us, but if they're not happy and it's not their passion, do you think they'd be able to continue in that profession for long? I don't think so. I say it and I believe that if you do something that you like and enjoy it, you'll do it wholeheartedly, and you'll continue to do it for long. And I'm a prime example of it. I've been with Scotiabank for 26 years, only because I love what I do. Had I not liked what I was doing, and I'll tell you, when I was in school and college, I didn't like math at all. I didn't like working with numbers. But here I am, my day starts with the dollar sign and it ends with the dollar sign. Just to share some stats with you. So 26% of students consider dropping out of post-secondary school because of money. 2 in 5 students are spending at least 3/4 of their income in school, without factoring in food and living expenses. 39% of students say their grades have been affected by financial obligation. 41% of students believe they'll have to live with parents for a prolonged period of time because of debt they've incurred with college and university education. 64% students believe they would not be able to afford the education without the financial help they have received from their parents. To avoid unnecessary debt and help families make smarter decisions for long-term sustainability, parents as well as students can equip themselves and make practical use of tools available to evaluate education costs and several other costs related to it. First of all, you can reduce your housing expense by choosing a local university or a college. That can save you on residence fees, almost close to $8,500 a year, not including meal plans and taking into consideration using local transit to save on gas and car insurance. Daily expenses can also be reduced by opting for flexible schedules and timetables so that you're able to work part-time. Leveraging on student discounts. They can use your student cards to get discounts on food and travel, etc. Buying used textbooks. That's what we did when we were in school as well. And I think most of you also did the same back home. So it's better to shop around and get used textbooks from senior students and also maximize usage of digital alternatives. Take advantage of the federal and provincial tax deductions for tuition, books, moving expenses, etc. Explore the different grants and the loans that are offered. Leverage government savings, programs like RESP, with average undergraduate tuition and living cost. Both my sons studied at the local York University. They lived at home and they took the Zoom bus. Now let's look at it from the students' perspective as they face a multitude of hurdles. First of all is moving from a highly structured high school environment to college or university. It requires self-directed studying, which sometimes seems challenging for some kids. Mental health and burnout. Almost 60 to 70% students deal with anxiety, stress, and depression due to peer pressure, pressure to excel, and secure a future career and balance social and academic responsibilities. Some also face financial stress because they did not plan ahead and save for their education. Homesickness and independent living. So most of you must have seen that when our kids are ready to go to college, university, and they apply at different places, and they get accepted at most of them, whether it's local or a little far off, they always tend to pick the one that is far off. Because they want to go out of the house, and I guess they just want to see how it feels and stuff. But once they do that, for most of them, college and university marks the first time living away from home and parents. Adjusting to household responsibilities, cooking and cleaning included, along with managing their workload, does take a toll. While trying to build new meaningful social networks can make them also feel isolated. What DJI Enterprise Learning Hub is able to provide for kids is what I regret having, or at least unaware of when my older son was preparing to go to university over a decade ago. He initially wanted to become a lawyer, but he was shy and he wouldn't talk much. And I would tell him that for a lawyer to succeed, you need to talk. You need to prove right things wrong and wrong things right in court and help your clients bail out, right? But he was adamant, and I did let him go and try his first semester at law school at York University. So he took those courses, initial courses first. Even before the first semester was over, he came back and he said, "No, Ma, you were right. This is not for me." But because he had a good aptitude for math and science, he switched over to mechanical engineering, and he did excel in that. As parents, we need to have continuous conversations with our kids so they can make the right decision and choice. we need to create awareness that resources are available like DJ Enterprises that offer career tests and career-focused courses free of charge for not only students, but also at a low cost for adult learners who are yet striving and need guidance for an ideal career path. So rather than condemning them for what they are unable to do, let's promise each other to motivate them and help them make better choices, not only based on what we want them to become, but based on their own behavioral competencies and skills. Thank you all and stay blessed.
But a slow, glowing dream that your fear seems to hide deep inside your mind. Oh Lord.